Hey guys, let's take a little break from the predict to action to do a quick unboxing video. This is something that I have looked for a long time. Kept hearing rumors that they existed, and I knew they did, and I saw part numbers for them, but I never actually found the item in question. And this isn't exactly what I was looking for, but this I think is even better. Wow, it's a lot bigger than I expected too. It is a PicBoost Duz-All, love the marketing, Duz-All television picture tube brightener. The original, thanks Chips, you coming to check it out. The original television picture tube brightener, manufactured by CBC. Not sure what they mean by the original. I don't know that PicBoost was the first company to ever make a booster. So what am I getting at? Alright, so there are a number of conditions that can affect a picture tube that makes it a bad watching experience, one of which is poor emissions. So what does a brightener do? A brightener bumps up the filament voltage. It overdrives, overclocks, you could say, the picture tube. Can make the picture brighter for a while, but it also accelerates its demise because you're pushing it harder. So as something is getting weaker and weaker, you're demanding more and more from it, so you're just going to make it burn out even faster. But considering how much new picture tubes cost, or if you can even find one, you want to squeeze all the life you can out of it, of course. But there are other issues that can arise, one of which is heater cathode short, which you cannot fix with a picture tube tester. You may see they have clear shorts functionality. Yeah, grid to cathode short maybe, but heater to cathode typically not, because the cathode is a metal tube and the filament is a corkscrew kind of inside of it. And if that heater gets whacked a little bit, or the cathode, or maybe a little bit of metal flakes off, a little bit of coating on the cathode, and they become shorted, that short is like up inside the cylinder between the filament and that metal sleeve, virtually impossible to clear out. So what can you do, or why is it even a problem? Well, typically you have the filament running off of AC, 6.3 volts typically, and then the cathode may be used for brightness, in which case it's hooked up to something like a potentiometer and the voltage on it is varied, and the grid modulates the beam intensity with the picture info. But sometimes the grid is used to control the brightness and the video info is fed through the cathode, in which case you can imagine if the cathode and the filament are shorted, you've got AC riding now on the cathode, plus it's at a certain bias, maybe 6.3 volts AC if the other side of the filament is grounded, which is a pretty common configuration. So in other words, it's throwing everything way out of whack. Well, this can potentially solve that, because this is not only a booster, but this is an isolation transformer. So one solution, it's not a perfect solution, there is no perfect solution to that problem, but one way you can continue to use the picture tube is to use an isolation transformer. So instead of running the picture tube filament in parallel with all the other tubes, typically they're all 6.3 volt tubes and they're all connected in parallel, you disconnect the picture tube filament and hook it up to an isolation transformer. And then you continue to, say, modulate the cathode with the video signal, but now it's not attached to the power transformer and all the other tubes. It's on its own, so the video signal and the AC can mix. There typically will be some degradation in the picture, and there may be some artifacts introduced by the AC, but it's something. Well, this can do that. They're really hard to find. The boosting type are really common. They're all over eBay. But the isolation type are hard to find. I've been looking for one for years. This one I'd never seen before. The boosters I'm used to seeing are much smaller, and there's just kind of a cylindrical device that sits in between, well, the socket and then the picture tube base. Whereas this is a whole big unit. It's clearly meant to be mounted, I would imagine, to the inside of the cabinet or something like that. And it has a knob here, so you can vary the amount of boost you get. Typically, it's just fixed. And let's see, it's P and S, so that would be parallel or series. And I guess the isolation is just always engaged. Quite commonly, they are autoformers. That's how they boost the voltage, so you don't get any isolation. But this does. As you can imagine, not only is it a lot bigger, but this would be a much more expensive unit as well. So it actually is acting like an isolation transformer and a little bit of a variac. So kind of a neat thing. Now the base on this, honestly, when I saw this was for sale, I just clicked the buy it now. I didn't pay attention to the base. This is a very specific type of base. The very common base from the 40s into the 50s was 12-pin. And then you get into the Predicta era where it was 8-pin, but a small base. This is kind of in between. I'm not entirely sure what kind of picture tube this would go with. 2, 3, 4, that's 7 pins. But it's kind of large. It's not quite an octal. It's smaller than the traditional 12-pin, but it's bigger than the traditional 8-pin. So I'm not sure. So it's a cool find, and I could replace this with different base and socket if I needed to. But now I'm kind of puzzled as to what type of CRT did this go with. Let's see if we have any info on here. If there was a sheet inside, it's gone. I do have the original box though. So it's a model Dub, D-U-B. Instructions here. And it is talking about adjusting the control, the difference between series and parallel, but nothing about the type of base or picture tube that this goes with, which is unusual. I'll have to do a little research on that. I don't think there's any picture tube in my collection that has a base like that. I quickly discovered that there were some 110-degree deflection picture tube to the 7-pin base, at least made by Sylvania, if not others, in the late 50s. So that's what this would have gone with. Now, I don't have one of those, but I do have at least one older 17-inch CRT with the 12-pin base that does have a heater cathode short. So maybe I'll make a little adapter and use this to resurrect that set one of these days. But meanwhile, I hope you guys enjoyed this look at kind of a curious thing that was used by servicemen back in the 50s and 60s to squeeze a little more life out of a customer's TV. That's all for now.